Paul, we're all right here, man. Where you been?
We're here.
We've been live for a whole 6 seconds, and we are Batman.
Oh man, what a day. What's up to everybody? Hobby Hangout. We're back. Special episode. I want to say even breaking news episode. I mean, it all kind of happened last minute. And of course, we have our special guest today, the one and only Tim Cologne, right there. Off White Tim, aka art_Tim Cologne. Make sure you watch that page, and for future developments.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on. I don't know. Special is a. I don't. Yeah, I could be special.
Oh no, yeah, of
Well,
course.
you're
You
special.
don't
You're
get to
special to
decide.
us, Tim.
We decide. Who's a special guest?
There you go.
Last week we had, Donnie Boy McCoy.
Yeah.
This week we have Tim, and then future episodes, we're gonna
Nice.
bring in other people. So,
Expose people to the hobby that don't get the recognition or exposure they should.
today's been I want to say a hectic kind of day. Early on, and we're just gonna jump straight into it. I feel like Tim was the one who reached out to me about this, or was it Will?
No,
I don't
it was,
remember.
I got my message from Will.
yeah.
Okay,
So
all right.
Melfi, thanks, bud.
Shout out to Melfi Collectibles. Always
Shout out to Will. He's probably, I don't know if he's in here or not, but
No, not yet. We gotta wait for the obligatory yo.
technically he says he watches. So I'm sure he'll be watching this for sure.
What up, Spider Cave? How you doing, man?
But yeah, during the afternoon or close to the afternoon, we got Batman metal news, and so
Which, not so much news, right? More of the pre-order release, because you guys talked about it. You guys talked about it over on the Card Drop channel when the license stuff was taking place. Like what sets were coming out. Like there was a lot of people putting out content about it, but nobody was talking about the actual contents of the message that came out from Upper Deck, where it listed out several sets that were going to be coming, and they're pretty much coming to fruition, or we already know that they're going to be coming. We had DC Annual, now we have Batman Metal.
Yeah.
We know that Flair Ultra Superman was part of that announcement initially, kind of buried within the paragraphs of their release. But today we got the pre-order drop for Batman Metal.
Batman Metal, and I want to say Go GTS definitely had like Batman Metal's coming. No images, just some text. It wasn't until later today that we saw some images. At first weren't there, then later popped up, and now we see a sell sheet, which we're gonna jump into. But the shout out to chat again, pulling fire here. Marvelous Sketch, what's up? Spider Cave,
Justin's
what's up,
here.
man?
Hey.
What's up, man?
Donnie Boy McCoy.
Donnie, what's up, Donnie?
Fausto,
hey,
in the
how you
house.
doing?
Strange Collectibles.
Strange
And
Collectibles, yeah.
We got free.
Free.
But yeah, this and I think I've taken a look at the sell sheet. Not a lot of people have. I specifically wanted Tim not to look because I want to see his reaction to some.
Oh man, he's got that smirk on his face. Tim, you didn't look, did
Tim,
you?
Tim,
Tim.
You had one job.
Tim.
Okay.
Man, it's like beating up the old ladies for the Pokemon cards all over again.
I don't know what you're talking about, Nathan.
So we're gonna jump into it. This is the sell sheet, David Adams, and I believe boxes went up for $199.99. I think 3 boxes,
just over 196 if you're at like a silver or bronze.
right?
So you get a couple dollars off.
$2 off.
You got the account with David Adams, yeah.
Maximum pre-order boxes at 3, and I know
no cases
yet.
But they had blasters and like a
blaster case
and blaster case, yeah.
Steel City also had them, and at first Steel City, I believe, was the one who had the images. But then we got this updated sell sheet, so we're gonna go over it. And
Manu, how's it going, man?
Yo, Manu, what up? Just in time, man.
So we got our traditional logos, the Skybox, DC, Batman logo here. We got the Metal Universe logo. This looks very familiar. It looks a lot like the X-Men Metal style.
Yeah, the retro metal logo. And
now there was some conversation about what's a retro metal logo and what's not in some side chats.
Yeah, I mean, one of us was right, one of us was wrong, but you know, not to shout out to Will.
One of you's here, one of you's not.
Yeah, you know.
So,
so here's the checklist.
Yep, going right into
checklist, our sell sheet.
Yeah, no checklist. It's upper deck. So checklist, expect that a week to 2 weeks out from the actual release of the product. If it was Topps and they were releasing it, we'd already have checklists and we'd have odds for every single card in the set. Yeah. But it's upper deck, so that's different point. Everybody knows. All right, 200 card base set, so pretty traditional for the modern metal sets. X-Men metal, Spider-Man metal, Avengers metal, all the same process. 100 low series, 100 high series, going to be probably similar to like first appearance, early edition art, and then modern art. You know, whichever way they have that. Usually the high series is, but this one's a little bit different, right? Because here we actually have, they're showing it here, 100 heroes and 100 high series villains.
Right, different format.
We're getting, different format than what we saw with the Marvel stuff.
And a lot of it starts to seem different once you start breaking down what it's actually saying. Like you said, Spider-Man metal or other metal sets in the past had low series, which were modern, more modern images, and high series were more of the retro images. So different format. Up top, you know, just because some of this bugs me. Like the design for the cell sheet's very decorative. Just give me some plain text so I can read it. You know what I mean? We don't have to get too crazy with it.
I mean, yeah, we're doing fancy fonts with drop shadows and everything else here.
I get it, but come on.
Yeah, gotta make it look pretty.
You know, Doom is all about the aesthetics.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I mean, you know, with his background, it makes sense.
Will's here.
Yo. Well, we got a 1-0 yo. We got a 1-0 yo.
Wow, that's all we got. All right.
Man, wow. We'll see how it is.
So on the right side, we see FX and precious metal gems, right? This is the big deal everyone's talking about, expecting PMGs for DC cards. And we're starting off with a different type of parallel. Harley Quinn numbered to 75. So
usually called pink in the Marvel sets, right?
Right.
The turquoise. It looks like it's a combination of pink and the turquoise together.
Right. Yeah. You got the gradient going on, which is the image there. Then we have orange FX out of 25, which I think that's the same, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, orange is out of 25. That's the same. We used to have the turquoise was out of 50, but that's now blue PMG.
Blue PMG out of 50. No reds.
Well,
and then gold PMG.
None listed on the sheet.
On the sell sheet. So will they be part of EPAC? I don't know. Maybe.
Or maybe they just didn't call them out.
Or maybe there isn't any. I don't know. It's a different format. Yeah, so I'm all for it.
I need a red on there.
Look, the only thing I can think of, blue PMG being DC, they're leaning very like blue heavy theme.
Yeah.
Maybe what if you save a red PMG for a Superman set? Oh, I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. I mean,
yeah,
it's weird not seeing it.
I'm really hoping it's more along the lines of they just didn't put it in here because they didn't feel the need to call out the reds and the greens.
Yeah.
In the sell sheet because everybody expects them. But.
Or maybe reds and greens are reserved for something that they'll announce later.
Right.
Yeah, possibly.
Because they did that for Avengers metal. They had different color PMG color variations.
Purples,
retros,
golds.
Yeah, because this is going to be. I mean, the way I'm seeing this is that at least these four here are going to be in connection with the 200 card base set.
Yes.
Where we saw that with X-Men metal and Spider-Man metal, where every card had all those parallels. Now, if they're keeping reds and greens, kind of like they did with Avengers metal, where it was like retro, a smaller set.
Yeah.
Man, I would love to see that where it's just a smaller set, 50 characters, a special set, whether they do a retro set down the line or they do a Superman metal set and then that's the format they use for that or whatever they do. I think that'd be great if they kept it kind of specific to that. I think a lot of people are looking, well, if I'm not going to get a red and green, why am I even going after it? Because those are the things that I can color match with the Harley Quinn and the Joker and all these different other characters. People love those reds and greens just because they go all the way back.
I would say that's the only negative thing. You don't have colors to color match for specific characters, but again, they could be introducing red FX or something. I don't know, but PMG's just blue and gold so far.
There has to be something else, just because I think they're guaranteeing a numbered parallel per box.
Yes,
and this is we'll get to the box topic there. Now somebody had said in chat that they hope that it's not that the PMGs don't look like they show in the sell sheet. This specific slide here doesn't show any PMGs. What I'm seeing in this is we're seeing the Harley Quinn parallel and the orange parallel.
Is that the orange? Because it looks really gold. Now, I'm hoping
that's it could be, but it doesn't say precious metal gems on it either.
Right.
But they've done that before. So
unless it's like a bronze, non-numbered bronze.
Yeah, like a copper, or, like you said, like bronze, something like that.
Yeah, I think people have full expectation when we're talking about a PMG, all the background is solid color.
Yeah.
Right.
It would surprise me if they break that design language in DC set, but I don't know. It's we'll see.
I mean, what's release date? July. What was the release date? July.
I believe it's June 25th.
June 25th, was that right?
I think so.
Yes.
So probably August. We'll shot it up or deck there.
Hopefully,
I'm hoping that it actually comes out.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it actually comes out when it's supposed to.
Let's
All right, so we got we got theme inserts.
But no, this is the only visual we have so far, from what I can gather.
So we got Arkham Asylum, PETG. I'm going to try to say this right. Polyethylene terephthalate glycol is what that means. That's a fancy word for acetate or plastic. So it's just a die cut. It's a die cut acetate card, essentially, is what it is.
And we have the sample there with the poison ivy and the
scarecrow.
Yeah. Which to me that kind of replaces the palladiums. If I'm thinking of comparing it to metal sets.
It's a good call out. I love the Arkham Asylum text and style. We have animated series a lot.
Like the metal fence that you would see around like the asylum or whatever.
Yep.
Clown Prince of Crime, 3D lenticular. So again, shout out to Will, favorite insert in the entire set for him.
No, Will's the sketch card guy, right?
He's the irregular oddity sketch card / 3D lenticular guy. So if you guys get any of those, he's who you hit up. Just drop it into his DMs. But he's like taking shots. He's not even here. It's not even fair to him. But Secret Identity, 2-image flip lenticular. So we got 3D lenticulars, and we got 2-image flip lenticulars. So we have. These are probably similar to like the AVX lenticulars, where they had like the AVX babies and the matchups. You might get Cyclops and Iron Man, or Magneto and Iron Man, or something like that, where it's just the two characters on there.
Yeah.
Whereas the Clown Prince of Crime 3D lenticular is probably more of like a Marvel annual splash ticular sort of insert would be my guess.
I would assume more of a scene or something.
Yeah. But those are the only two. I mean, that's really the only two cards that we got. So the Arkham Asylum and the Secret Identity. So those are the two that we have images for here.
Yeah.
But then we have the Poison Ivy Touch. That's a gold light FX die cut.
So a gold shiny die cut card.
Yeah.
Basically.
Enigmas, glow in the dark cards.
There you go.
So that's probably going to be pretty similar to like the Creep concerts from Midnight Suns. But Tim, you were talking about these the other day when we were chatting about what you thought would be really cool if they did it with this insert.
Yeah, Enigma makes me think of the Riddler, Edward Nigma. It'd be cool if there's a riddle on the card when you have it in the dark. Maybe the glow in the dark effect gives you a riddle. You know,
Yeah,
that'll fit his character.
Yeah,
That'd be dope.
patience, Grasshopper, patience.
yeah. We're gonna go over that information towards the end. I think we got 2 more slides.
Yeah, so then we got the Brave and the Bolds, one of the other on theme inserts. So that's a Silver Light FX card. So we got Gold Light FX die cuts, and then a Silver Light FX parallel for this insert as well.
Brave and the Bold. Oh, interesting.
So they're adding a lot of variety into the product.
A lot of inserts. Yes.
A lot of different inserts. You know, there's still going to be. I'm guessing there's going to be a decent number of parallels, but a lot of inserts, so a lot of different things that are going to feel like you're getting something of, value out of the box when you open it up.
Yeah, it's building more of like, I guess, a retro where you get a variety of inserts, and those inserts have their own parallels. So we'll see how that goes.
This is one that I'm actually really excited about because I love the Skybox premium cards. I think the design's really nice. You see a couple of them over here on the right-hand side.
Right. Yeah,
a couple little like laser lines here on the outer edges, so nothing that's intruding on the art. The classic Skybox premium logo, which is very similar stylistically to like the Masterpieces logo, as far as like how it's laid out. It's blocky like that. So that's what you can expect from that. Low number serials. They got the Star Emeralds out of 10. And the Diamond 101s.
101s.
So,
do you know what those are, Nathan? Is there like a hockey connection or a sports connection to this?
It's a sports connection from basketball sets in the 90s.
Okay.
And they've done those on AEW, I know, metal.
And I'm sure they probably use it in some of their hockey products nowadays.
Okay.
But it's originally from the basketball sets from the 90s.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And of course we got, which, almost everything that they do from Upper Deck pulls from the sports stuff in some aspect. Sometimes we think about the stuff as a Marvel insert and we go, well, why are they doing that way or whatever? It's so much of it is just pulled from the sports side of things. And it's going to be the same thing for Topps when you're talking Marvel. It's so much of that stuff is going to pull from the sports side because it's easier for them to do that because it's already in place as opposed to coming up with brand new.
Well, there's also like a legacy behind a lot of those inserts that they want to reintroduce.
Yep.
I think just me collecting Marvel cards. I know people say that these are Marvel card inserts. These inserts don't belong to Marvel cards.
Nope.
A lot of these inserts come from the sports side from back in the 90s. And even like when you think of sets like Masterpieces and stuff like that, those are, Skybox.
Well, I think that some of that is, if you have a very narrow focus in your collecting, like some of us have that. We have a very narrow focus, or we're very wide. There's very few people that are kind of like in between. But when you have a very narrow focus and your primary collection is Marvel, and that's all you focus on, and that's all you open product wise, to you these are Marvel inserts. When you look at, this is a DC brand now, they're just taking Marvel inserts instead of creating new DC ones. Well, it's not, like you said, Tim. It's not Marvel inserts. It's Upper Deck inserts.
Yeah.
It's Skybox inserts. It's whatever other Fleer insert that they pulled from, because you got to remember Skybox, Fleer, Upper Deck, they were all separate companies back in the early 90s. They all competed against each other.
Great point.
They fell off. Upper Deck bought the licensing and bought those companies over essentially. So now they hold all of that material. So, yeah, go ahead, Doom. Do you want to cover this one?
The other one that we're familiar with, if you're coming from Marvel, the C-Force Rave, where you have the what is that? Now they're calling it Detective Rave and Super Raves 101s. So I'm looking, no images on that yet, but those should be fun.
Probably pretty similar. Probably pretty similar to what you would see in the sports stuff and what we saw in Spider-Man Metal, what we saw in Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes had Z-Force Raves in there as well. Avengers Metal went with the A-Raves. I'm not sure if Avengers Metal had Z-Force Raves or not, but they had
the A-Raves, and I think they were themed for female characters.
Yes.
Yeah, yep. But it's going to be a very similar kind of layout. There might do some small adjustments to it, but very similar. Your differences are going to be like the foiling is going to be different to kind of differentiate between them.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see this one, Platinum Portraits. So
Love
Porch is back. I hope they do the rainbow foiling, and like they did X-Men Metal, not I guess Avengers Metal is the one that they didn't do foiling.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Dark Matter is another one that we don't have any images of yet. Soft touch with black deco foil. So that one's going to be an interesting one there. As far as like, it doesn't give any really like explanation of what that would be. Whether or not we could find, I don't recognize the insert name at all. So it might be something that is new for them.
Yeah, it might be
or comes from one of their like entertainment style sets, like maybe a TV show or something like that. Yeah, this is the premiums. The Skybox Premium is probably the insert that I'm most looking forward to that we've seen so far, just because of how much I like the Skybox Premium cards from the 90s.
Nice.
Let's see.
All right, so now we get into our configuration. So we do actually see some more stuff here. So we got the Gotham City Metal. I think they mentioned that one earlier. So you get an idea of you get the Batman light there. Yep, die cut. And then we get another card here, but they don't really call out what the card is.
Don't know if that's a gold or orange or a different parallel. Who knows?
Is that a metal card? I'm assuming the Gotham City Metal.
I would imagine that's probably like the adamantium ones.
Yeah. I'm guessing so.
Or the planet metals.
Yeah.
Probably similar to those. Yeah, it's probably an actual metal card. We got our configuration, so 6 cards per pack, 12 packs per box, 12 boxes per case. That's all pretty standard across their metal sets. Packs, 4 base cards, 1 base high series, and 1 insert or hit. So again, pretty standard. Probably going to be, my guess is probably going to be sorted the same way. You guys, first 3 cards are going to be your first 3 cards are going to be your base card. Then you should have like your insert, your hit, and then your back base card or high series card.
Wait, what's?
And notice here the on average too, guys. So this stuff's all on average. And honestly, Upper Deck's the only company that doesn't like kind of enforce that on average. Or like when you call them or you email them and you say, "Hey, I was missing something," they'll send you a replacement most of the time. A lot of companies go, "It's on average." I don't know what to tell you. So we're very lucky that Upper Deck actually does that. So, box hits. What we got for box hit here, Doom?
We have 4 Skybox Premium inserts, 3 Purple FX cards. That's confusing to me. What's a Purple FX? Is that like
it's just Grandiose? Purple FX. It's probably gonna be like the Grandiose. Or it's just gonna be like a color parallel.
Right.
So we would get the gold. We would get the gold FX primarily in the boxes when you're talking Skybox or Spider-Man metal, Avengers metal, X-Men metal. We had the gold parallels and we had the Grandiose parallels. My guess is those Purple FX cards are going to be replacing one of those. Yeah.
You get 2 base.
About the 4 premiums though. That's nice.
Yeah, 4 Skybox Premiums, 2 base set Retribution and/or high series Nemesis parallels.
So again, now we're getting some names of some different parallels to the sets themselves.
Yeah. 1 Arkham Asylum insert, which we've seen, and the 1 base set parallel serial numbered card. So 1 serial numbered card
per box.
Per box, meaning any of the 4 from the first slide. So
and then 1 Arkham Asylum insert. So Tim, you said that's like the Palladiums, right?
Yeah, those are
I think
so similar to the Palladiums, probably. So that's about right. I think usually we would get like 1 or 2 per box on the other metal sets that we've seen.
Yeah.
And case hits, we got 2 Dark Matter inserts, 2 Secret Identity and or Clown Prince of Crime, 2 Gotham City metal cards, 1 Jambalaya, 1 Poison Ivy Touch, 2 serial numbered inserts, 2 wild card hits from the following: either Crater autographs, sketch cards, platinum portraits, Diary of Alfred Pennyworth. That one's got me worried. That one's got me worried.
That gives me Daily Bugle, but
yeah, Daily Bugle vibes.
So,
yeah. Enigmas, The Brave and the Bold, The Batman Adventures, which we didn't see anything for those.
Personally, Batman Adventures, I'm hoping is Batman animated.
Yes.
Cards. Batman Adventures being the comic books, extending the series. So I don't know.
They did have the Harley preview metal card, had Bruce Timm art.
Hopefully, the preview one that we got from 85th anniversary. So I don't know.
Bub's Rips says that the dark matter almost sounds like it's grandiose. That would actually kind of make sense, right?
Although they kind of set it up as its own insert, so
yeah, they did on the previous slide.
I don't know. Yeah,
and only 2 per case.
Dark matter soft touch with the black decal foil. Although it's just saying designs, not necessarily that it's
okay.
Own.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I mean, that would kind of make sense.
Possibly, yeah.
That you could have that be like the grandiose, and then the purple FX replaces the gold. Possibly.
No, but you have 2 dark matter inserts case hits, so it's not grandiose.
Oh yeah.
Level of rarity. It's much more rare than that.
We're trying.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we got so far. Nathan, if you can go back to the first slide, just
the first slide.
Yeah. The one with the cards.
Oh, you said
the third slide. There you go. No.
There you go.
I do want to highlight that these precious metal gems are structured under the writing that says base set parallel. So the PMG is not technically a retro PMG. There is no retro PMG text anywhere inside. There's no visual representation of a retro PMG. I'm assuming there will be no retro PMGs. We're just going to have a PMG of the base set. So if I'm predicting the future, I would assume they would reserve retro PMGs for maybe a DC retro in the future. So at some point, I know they spoke about wanting to do a Marvel retro on one of those interviews, so that they couldn't make happen. So I'm assuming at some point we'll get a DC Flair retro set.
And that's speculation, right? The newsletter didn't or the announcement include a Flair retro.
Yeah, set. Like they didn't mention it, and until somebody posts, until they either say something about it or an artist posts a blank sketch card somewhere, then we're just guessing that eventually they're probably going to do one.
And unless we get a checklist that has a retro PMG slot, I would assume they're not going to be there on this.
Unless, I mean, we did get a Looney Tunes Flair retro set, which is under Warner Brothers, which is the same banner for DC cards. Yep. So maybe that's where we get it. But at the same time, it feels weird to have a metal set without red PMGs. Maybe it's a blaster that you can pull up out of 100.
Could be, or an achievement exclusive. I don't know. There's other ways to incorporate that and a green. But I know there's an interview with, I believe it was Upper Deck Billy, and it's the guy from Sports Cards Nonsense, but he has his own non-sports podcast show now. I believe his name is Jesse. And they had an interview where he specifically highlighted they're trying to limit the amount of PMGs. They don't want to have like their top characters in every set, or they will have a variation of a Batman, but not Batman in a Superman set. Or
so like you wouldn't have 4 different Batman animated PMGs. They would want to change it up from like Batman animated to the Dark Knight to the Batman Who Laughs or the Bat Who Laughs, or that's what you're
to
talking
preserve
about,
the base Batman PMG overall being less of those compared to when we saw Spider-Man PMGs in every set. So
if something we were clamoring for as Marvel collectors was that don't saturate the characters with every set having that character in a PMG.
And if you take away the green and the red, and it's only blue and metal, you are saving those potentially for the future.
You are, yeah. Because now you're talking, if it's 200 base cards, so I mean you're looking at, what is that, 1,000, 1,200 PMGs, right?
A lot of PMGs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It doesn't.
when we think of PMGs, we think of retro PMGs. So maybe those are exclusive to a retro set. Who knows? Like, I'm guessing that's why we're seeing what we're seeing right now. Again, this could all change. We can get more information tomorrow. Who knows?
Yeah. It just doesn't feel right to not have reds or even greens for that matter in like an inaugural PMG set. And I get the character stuff. Trust me, there were sets even in Marvel where I was like, why is this character in this? You know, why is this character in Spider-Man Metal or why is this character in this set or that set? And it's but they've also tested different variations of character, right? You got the Wolverine in Spider-Man Metal where he was like the nullified Wolverine instead of the actual Wolverine.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Which makes sense. 100 villains. I mean,
that's a lot of villains.
A lot of villains. So I'm imagining there's going to be a lot of variations, right? Like,
I mean, you're talking, if you don't have any crossover, because you have some villains that are like anti-heroes, or they're heroes and villains, like there might be some crossover there. But even if you just said there's a fine line and you have 100 heroes, 100 villains, you're going really deep into.
I don't think there is.
Genre. No, I don't think there is either. There's going to be repeats where you might have a couple different Batmans. And
well, we got 2 Red Hoods. We know that in the cell sheet at least. You got this one here, and then you had the one towards the last slide, which was a completely different image.
Yeah,
which makes sense. But like Catwoman has crossover. A lot of Batman characters are kind of anti-heroes, so there's going to be some crossover.
I do want to highlight this. I think the one that Card Collector Show, I saw it on Josh's one of Josh's YouTube shorts. I don't believe those are actual images. I think he states on there that those are not upper deck images. So
yeah,
maybe those are mock-ups. And then Manu, I don't think they think about this in any sophisticated way. It sounded like they were thinking about it much more differently in that interview, Manu. But we won't know until we get the official release, how they release these things.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, Donnie, that's a good point. Is DC going to be able to not have them or constantly change the appearance of each of the characters if they're not going to have Batman, Superman, Joker in every set? You can make the argument that is Marvel able to do that? Other than an all-female set, I mean, we saw it with Midnight Suns. It's a different genre, it's a different niche, and they still put Spider-Man in the set
and Wolverine.
And Wolverine. So I mean, Wolverine. I don't know the storyline, so William would be able to tell us.
Well, yeah, he has ties to the.
But it's not as deep of a tie to it as like the main characters in that, right? Yeah. So at some point, they're probably going to get to where they're including characters in certain stylistic sets or story sets that don't necessarily belong in there, just to kind of help move the product.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll figure out a way to include Batman and Flare Ultra or Superman, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you have enough appearances of both of them together.
Wonder Woman too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I fully expect those characters to show up, but maybe you'll get a different variation of that character, or somehow specific artwork to that storyline.
I mean, they exist. TJ over at Upper Deck seems to be really entrenched in comics, and there's the whole Dark Knight's Metal series where they're evil versions of all those characters. Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Batman Who Laughs. I'm like almost 1,000% sure that the villain Batman high series is going to be probably the Batman Who Laughs. So
100 heroes. I'm selfishly expecting a Batman Beyond to fit there. In the Batman Metal set. So hopefully we get some of those characters. But it's going to be interesting to see the amount of I can't tell you 100 heroes and 100 villains.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, when those guys did like the top 100 characters or whatever for DC, like they have a hard time giving it to 100 characters.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And it's the same thing with Marvel. I mean, sure, we all could probably sit down and eventually get 100 characters, but they're going to be from like one specific main character storyline. Like so many of them are going to be from Spider-Man. So many of them are going to be from X-Men. So many of the characters from this will be from the Batman line, right? Because that's what most of the people know is those main primary lines.
Well, I do wonder if they do let's say not a Batman, but what would be another metal series? I don't know. I guess that's forecasting way too much.
Justice League.
I mean,
right?
You could do a Justice League
is a
because you
blend,
get Avengers. You could
Superman. The Superman.
because there was weren't they talking about doing like a Rogues Gallery medal or something like that? So they probably could do something that's themed that way. But I think
different type of thing.
doing that even in Marvel though, like DC, I think you have to tune down the set. Like I think you get 200 cards. Now it's just too much. It's too much to do a thematic set like that. It almost needs to be like a 50 to 100 card set at that point in time. With a few inserts, make it a smaller production run.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be characters. I think just brace yourselves. There's gonna be characters that you don't know, and that's fine too. I can't tell you how many Marvel sets in the beginning where I was like, "Who is this?" And if it wasn't for like the MCU or something like that, I probably wouldn't have known the character. And I'm speaking from like a comic book background, and that's where I come from, and I like to think I know a fair bit, and even characters were kind of like, "Wait, who is this? Alex Smythe?" Like,
I
don't know who that is.
Yeah.
There's going to be characters like that, and Marvel card people that have dealt with Marvel cards for years, I don't expect for them to know DC characters unless they've watched any of the like animated cartoon feature movies or read comics or anything like that.
Yeah.
Fourth Corner brings up point not like in the metal borders on the base card certainly doesn't add anything to the cards, and I think that's stylistic taste. I don't particularly like it, but it's a drastic change from what we've seen with the past metal
we've seen in the past. Usually, I guess Avengers metal, we saw like two side metal pieces, almost like a metal door closing in. This is very different stylistically. We did see it's the same design as a preview from Batman 85th Anniversary on E-Pack, where we got those 6 cards to begin with. The one thing I do like about this design, it's different to get used to for sure. The border, you're gonna know what parallel you hit once, because there's enough border around the top, bottom, and left side that there isn't gonna be.
It's not like the X-Men metal where like you can't really even tell what color it is.
Not at all. So I rather prefer seeing a border like that over, let's say, like a big font telling you, hey, this is a specific parallel. Like the DC, and we'll talk a little DC Annual later, but DC Annual variants, they're all black and white, a different artwork, which I like that they, took a lot of different artwork specifically for that set. But I don't need a variant, type if everything tells me this is different than the base set. Like it's already black and white, it's already different artwork. You don't have to spell it out. You can put it in the background, put it in the back of the card, call it a variant. I prefer seeing the actual visual change over like a type that tells you that it's a parallel. So it takes a while to get used to, but once I thought about why it's there, I'm into it. We'll see what it looks like.
I think we go, and I want to go back to the point of like this, like Metal Universe not being a Marvel brand and a sports card brand. Like they've been doing borders like this on sports card Metal Universe for years, right? I think they've kind of always went back to, what we saw in 2015 and 2013 for Marvel card collectors. But here, I think, even with it resembles Avengers Metal a lot. And I remember initially not being a huge fan of Avengers Metal. And then I saw what the base cards look like, and I thought they looked awesome. And then I even have a PMG here. Like, who? I mean, at some point, it's like, does it matter?
Yeah, you don't see it, right?
You don't. Yeah, you're not gonna.
And I think
You're just
I'm
gonna see
assuming the PMGs will be the same way on this. Like you won't notice the backgrounds as much.
Yeah. So it's again, I understand, but at the same time, like people are not buying this for base cards. If you were buying this for base cards, then don't buy a box.
Most people are chasing PMGs in this head.
Well, Shane, you got to go sit in the corner for 5 minutes. That's your punishment.
Yeah.
I do want to say I like this new trend that, well, I guess new trend because they weren't being rushed on these sets, where you, even though the design of the actual base card is a box towards the right side, seems a little closed in, you do have the characters still going over it and coming outside of the box, coming to life. So
yeah,
we're gonna get a full figure regardless, right? Even the Batman, you see how those shapes going outside of the border make it look like a different base card than the other ones. I like the variety when some of these characters really go outside the box, some of them stay inside. And you know what matters is that they get the PMG right. To be like, for most people, that's what they're gonna base this around, and the inserts. But the PMG has to be right.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Fourth corner border like this makes sense in sports cards where you have bleachers, fans in the background. But for a comic card that's about art, a border like that isn't the most aesthetically appealing. Yeah, I think. And if you ask, 100 people, there might be 15, 20 of them that really like it. It's just everybody's different and what they like, and I think this is their first opportunity at it. They're not going to knock it out of the park every single time on their first try, but
it's definitely
it's a good start.
It's definitely like an aggressive design, I would say.
Yeah, I would. Again, I would reserve judgment until we actually get to see some of the PMGs because you might like them, right? The EPAC achievements, there are people that have like reels and pictures of them online that they ship them home. I think Graded Gamer had a reel where she was showing the card, and the chromium on the card does pop, and the background did pop when she showed it on camera. And I'm sure the camera didn't even do it justice. So, again, I learned my lesson with Avengers Metal. I did not like the background. I felt the same way until you hold these cards in person, and then, they tend to hit different.
I think we all want the no border, just stick to the artwork type of card. I think they're actively holding those for specific sets, I'm assuming. Who knows? Even the Marvel Annual, the last one that came out with big red border, I didn't like, but this blue one was a little bit more DC. The DC Annual one was a little bit more not it was asymmetrical, so it was a little bit more playful, and I enjoyed that about it. This is definitely the first base design for a metal set compared to the Marvel. It's very different, for sure. We'll see. DVD box art, yeah, it does. It does a little bit remind me of that.
A little bit,
for sure.
DVD, VHS, the VHS with the white foam that used to crack open.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, that's it, man. That's the big update today.
I mean, where can they find this information? And
David Adams. Steel City. You could go GTS. Last I looked, Go GTS didn't have the images up yet.
No, they had a video though, and the video had images. So.
The video had these images.
I
believe, right?
Yep.
So, but it looks like June 25th is the projected release date. Again, max 3 per person. They don't have the ability to purchase cases at this point in time. Now, I pre-ordered 2 boxes for myself. Did you guys pre-order anything?
I did not.
Oh, my goodness.
I got 2 boxes. I always skip
there we go.
and then I regret it because then I'm paying like secondary market price just to buy a box. And so as soon as it hit, I bought a box, and just stay tuned to my Instagram page because I might have some things to say.
Okay.
Or show.
Which page? The art page?
The art page, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Nice.
I do want to go back to this. Do we think it's going to be as low as Metal Avengers or more like Spider-Man? I would say a lot more like Spider-Man.
Yeah,
probably a lot more like Spider-Man.
Metal Avengers is a one-off. Yeah,
I think that. I don't think the retros were initially intended to go into that set.
I don't think
I think
so
they were. I think they were intended to go into a different set. I think they planned on doing a retro set, but when the licensing stuff changed, they're like, "Well, we have these, so now what?"
You're on,
like, put them in this product.
You're 100% on the money. There was,
and that's a theory. Again, we don't know, but just based on how they usually set up.
Yeah, you don't see us. You don't see us getting boxes from Upper Deck, so we don't have a clue.
Unfortunately, we're working on that though. Upper Deck, if you see that, you see our, hook us up. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely X-Men metal, Spider-Man metal. That's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
That type of board.
Do you think the sketch cards would be the same amount as Spider-Man or less? Now, are you talking about like the same number of sketch cards, or are you talking about the value of the sketch cards? Because those are two completely different conversations.
I want to say in the same interview, I believe it's the same interview of the Upper Deck, Billy and Jesse.
Number of them.
Non-sports guy. I believe they mentioned they don't know how many sketches they get, so they try to build the sets as is, and the sketch card is something additional because they can't predict how many they get back from artists.
Yeah, they don't know how many they're going to get back from the artist, and they don't know how many are going to get approved.
Yes,
which in time changes how many. Like they can't plan the set based around how many sketch cards they're going to get.
They can't depend on that.
Premiere is about the only set that they really kind of do that with,
right?
Where they're every single box gets 2 sketches, and but that's probably a set too where they overproduce the number of sketch cards to then guarantee that they have enough to fit the product mold.
Yeah.
So, is there comic cuts in the DC mess? Well, they didn't mention comic cuts. They didn't mention comic cuts, but we had surprise stuff in Spider-Man Metal with the die cut animated cells. Those are pretty cool. Eventually I'd like to see them do something like that in the DC realm.
Sorry, I was just going to say they did mention creator autos, which I don't think is that's never been a metal thing other than comic cut autos. So
true. X-Men metal had some of those. I don't know about Spider-Man metal, but they definitely had the autograph with the small portrait and like
they had the what do you call it? The
Chad asked earlier if we think they'll have the artist name on the back of the cards. I honestly, any set that they're pulling,
I think they'll have the issue number. Like the DC
they'll probably have the issue number.
Had an issue number, which is more than like we used to getting. So I hope it'd be nice if they had that. But I was going to say something about when I think of comic cuts. I think of beginnings though. So I would assume maybe a beginning set would have comic cuts.
But I mean, we went a long time without a beginning set, so that's probably why they started throwing it in other sets. I mean, even Matriarchs had comic cuts and comic cut designs. Actually, a Matriarchs
Avengers had
around Wonder Woman to me feels like a no-brainer, just given the reception of that set.
And I just remember the Flare Ultra Avengers comic cuts because they were so awful in color design. Definitely don't want those coming out.
The green, yeah.
I mean, just looking at the annual set, I think I'm like Tim was saying, the Matriarch set. Yeah, you could very easily do a Matriarch set when you start looking at the annual cards and going, there's some amazing looking female characters here, to where they could knock a Matriarch set out of the park with the DC stuff.
Absolutely.
We'll all become familiar with the names that we don't know as people start opening boxes and we start seeing more of it too.
Yeah, the Zatanna card I think was one of the best cards on the Batman Metal cell sheet, in my opinion.
And I do want to reference, I believe it in our Discord, Hobby Hangout Discord, Steve Amato left an article there with a representative from Upper Deck when DC Annual came out. I'm trying to gather the name, Travis Real, and that's on click.com. But they talk very long term. They see this, if they roll out how they want to roll out the sets, would be like a long term, decade plus of that's how they envision treating the DC cards. So I would say they're probably saving it specifically for sets that represent that now, and they're going to be changing the format of a lot of what we saw in Marvel because they have a different mission, right? They want to set up a long-term mission in sets, and maybe those are going to be exclusive to another brand of set. So
I will say that Upper Deck does listen. It feels like even when we were getting like the barrage of different sets, the format of those sets felt like things that people had mentioned they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
The reception was different for a lot of things. I felt like there were things that people would hang on to and like, oh, all Upper Deck needs to do is this. Oh, we need more PMGs. Then they give you more PMGs in Avengers Metal.
And then the conversation changes that now we have too many PMGs.
So it's at the end of the day, like they are willing to try things to their credit. They don't always get everything right, but like even piecing through this cell sheet, there are things there that like we can attribute to like something they might have tried in the past, and maybe they're calling back to that because it either worked or didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just hope for no like Daily Bugle type of inserts.
We're gonna get one.
Someone said we need more. Everyone said that.
It was Manu.
The Hobby said that.
It was Manu.
Every box breaker.
I know it.
Every box breaker did not want. Spider-Man Metal Days did not want the pink or the turquoise.
I know Manu said we need 5x7 PMGs. I guarantee it. Maybe not publicly, but I guarantee it.
Well, he did request 5x7s, and I'm sorry, Manu. I don't think we're gonna see that.
Listen, Manu, you got full page comic cuts. What are you talking about? That's as big as it gets, right?
Yeah.
Full page comic cuts wrapped in itty bitty cardboard.
Yeah.
Don't get him started, Tim. Don't get him started.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, look, let's just be honest. Manu, you want to have a round 2 of comic cuts? You and Justin, I'm watching. Just tell us when it's on.
Oh, 100%.
We're tuning in.
Popcorn ready. You know what?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I hope they do a DC Beginnings and they throw let's just cut covers and put them in the cardboard so we can watch the movie.
Every box gets a page from a comic book.
I think all of us here would watch that. I mean, you want to talk? If anyone hasn't watched it, go to Spidey Hits channel. Go watch that episode. What a classic Marvel show episode. One of the best. Love that episode. I mean, you might need Nathan to referee this, you know.
Whoa! Why are you volunteering me?
Well, because you're, I'm sorry. I'm just adding you to that list.
Nathan, dude, maybe that's the next guest. We could get Manu on camera and get him riled up.
Oh man,
I don't even know. We can get him riled up, and he doesn't even have to be on camera.
Yeah, that's true. We definitely gotta have him on sometime. Yeah. That is the Batman Metal, June 25th. Hopefully, no delays. We need to talk about price point. What do you guys think about the price point?
I think it's fine.
I think it's great.
For a metal set, I mean, I guess I'd want more transparency with exactly what's in the set. And I really wish Upper Deck would get to the point of releasing a checklist when they submit pre-orders out there to the public. Because you're essentially, I mean, we're ordering product, anticipating certain things to be in the product, And if they're not, well, then we feel bad about it, right? Like if all there are blue out of 50 and 101 PMGs, and people are buying it based on, well, there's always reds and there's always greens,
Yeah.
and then they're not. Well, then
It's a big change. Like people are
Yeah.
expecting that, so it would be nice to know. You know,
But,
I guess
yeah,
pre-order with caution if you're expecting that.
I can't imagine Metal Universe without a red PMG at least.
Yeah, and there's going to be some shops out there that have it for less than what the current pre-order price is. There's going to be some shops out there that have it for more than what the current pre-order price is. And it's always a risk when you're opening product. And if you don't hit the bigger hits to where you get the value out of it, right? Then you're like, okay, well, I think the box is probably a $125 box. Well, if it was $125 and you opened it, would you then think it was a $75 box?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just open it up, enjoy it with your friends.
Yeah, and it's an enjoyable price, right? $200 for a metal PMG set is
it's not $500. It's not $700. It's not $475 on e-pack. It's not.
Especially you compare now
those things that Spider-Man metal was.
Yeah, if you compare it now to Avengers metal, which I believe is up to close to 500, if not over.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man metal is probably, I think I last saw it like around 350. So
yeah, I think you occasionally could find one for like 325 somewhere in there.
And reminder, like these will likely sell out. They will likely increase the prices and keep doing, keep doing.
And we can assume that based on, if we look at the 85th anniversary packs, where there was 5,000 packs.
Yes, I believe so.
For each release.
Yeah.
Well, there's only 2,000 Unbound packs for each release, and Unbound hasn't been selling out at all.
And those 85th definitely sold out.
Yeah, 85th sold out every week, just as fast as Unbound had been selling out.
Yeah.
So there's just as many people out there trying to go after DC stuff, whether it's because it's, they think of it as like an investment or a gambling aspect, but there's still plenty of people that are going after it from a collecting aspect too.
Yeah, and listen, enjoy it now while you can, while, I guess awareness feels like awareness is a bit down compared to Marvel cards, but we might get to a point where, Dave and Adam start playing the game of like, oh, pre-orders is up for 2 hours and then we take it down and then we're raising the price, take it down. Like that hasn't happened. It's been up all day. Steel City has it up all day. It's still at $199. You want to open metal,
Blasters are up. Steel City also.
Yeah.
I mean, I think all the people in Marvel cards that were super early on Marvel cards and how they got to enjoy, these type of prices. Like, now's the time.
I think if you, just like we saw with Marvel and we can see with sports, certain sets, certain products, certain players, if you start having an influx of money into a certain thing, even if that community is small, it expands very rapidly. Marvel's going through that right now, where there's a lot of people coming in because the past few sets that have been released in Marvel have been good breaking products, easily accessible to people, whether that's through Tops or through Whatnot or through eBay or wherever. It's easily breakable product. People can somewhat enjoy it at a lower cost than what the cost of the box or case is. And I think you'll see that with this too. People have already been breaking DC Annual, and they're filling the breaks pretty quickly.
Then guess what? The price of the box has gone up because of
that part, right?
DC because it was like $90 at release or at pre-order. Yeah, $89 at pre-order, and now they're like 124, 125, 130. Yeah.
And of course, I mean, most, absolutely. I mean, Super Rare got to Super, of course. So much out there. But yeah, that is the news of the day. And we appreciate everyone showing up. Let's see. I would say Marvel has legitimate theories. Okay, people collect where DC has what, 5? I mean, I guess that's yet to be seen, right?
I guess it just depends on how you're looking at that. Because there's, like myself, I don't collect any of the main characters. Like I keep Wolverine if I pull him. He's not like life-changing money, but I don't go out of my way. I've never gone out and bought a Wolverine card.
I think what he's saying is there's 30 characters that people legit collect, even if it's one or two.
I don't even know if that's the case. Like, because
I don't agree.
and not that the Marvel part's wrong. I think the DC part's wrong, because
we don't know.
If we look at the 30 characters that people collect, you're going to have 30 characters in DC that people collect too. It's just that's their focus.
Over time, you'll
DC,
see
so
character collectors develop for some of these characters.
Well, not only that, I think if Annual or DC Annual is giving you a sense, go look at what characters are selling for in those case breaks. People are interested in more than 5 characters.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's like, and I forgot. I think maybe it's Royal 8 or something like that. He saves like the top 7 or 8 characters for the end. Catwoman, Joker, Batman, Superman, Power Girl, and a couple of other ones. Right? Like, it's just. Maybe your perception is that there's only 5 characters,
because that's what's been released so much is Marvel. So we see so many people and all the different characters they collect in all the big groups where people are talking about 30 plus characters. Once DC gets to that, if DC was the same as Marvel as far as the scale of the people that we see publicly or in groups, right? I think you'd have that same impression that there's 30 characters in DC as well.
Yeah, and like we're saying here, like some collectors are still undecided whether they want to chase DC stuff. So,
listen, it's an opportunity for people to get introduced to characters. I mean, I don't know how you got introduced to Domino, Nathan, but I know there are Marvel card collectors that had no clue about the origin story or the comic book or anything. They saw a Marvel character in a set that they thought aesthetically was dope and started collecting that character and learned about that character after the fact
through the actual card.
That's me. Yeah, that's exactly how I got exposed to collecting Domino. Domino was like, I found a card of hers in a set and I thought it was badass, and then I went and researched the character. I was like, I'm going to collect this character, and then built it out from there.
Manu, Night Terrors, DC Annual. I'm sure you've seen the Catwoman.
Fire.
Probably my favorite card of the set.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen it, come on, Manil, what are you doing? Slacking.
Yeah.
Some of these DCs have way longer lineage than Marvel cards. I wouldn't be surprised to see a whole new group of people collecting these cards, right? Some comic book guys coming in too. I can definitely see that.
I mean, Batman animated guys. Batman animated is such a staple. In the same way that, like, people love Spider-Man, on Fox Kids, people loved Batman, and so people may not be familiar with every DC character, but Batman animated. You talk about some of the best episodes. You're talking about the Two-Face episode, Clayface, Mr. Freeze, like,
yeah. And like Strange Collector says here, MCU, right? People coming from MCU. I was one of those guys. I didn't read comics. I was coming from MCU. Again, pivotal year. We're gonna have a huge DC movie to set off the year.
A lot of characters.
A lot. Marvel, again, pivotal year, trying to bring the Fantastic Four and establish like a new run. So, no. Oh, Manu, I'm disappointed you haven't seen that one. Come on. What are you doing?
You gotta.
Do we have a point system? Can I deduce points from Manu today?
Yeah, if it's not 5x7, it's not for him. Is what it is.
It's 5x7 or bigger. 5x7 or bigger.
If it's not license plate size, if he can't,
Yeah, Manu, blue base, red out of 199, green out of 99. There, helping you out, man.
Yeah, there we go, Matt.
Oh, yes.
Shout out to Derek too. It's been a while since we've seen him on camera. I hope everything's
sure. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely anti-shout out. Like,
you got to save that for that other podcast.
Yeah, and it's DC. Definitely.
Let me ask you guys a question before we go.
Yeah.
What is the one thing you're hoping for this Batman metal set? Just one thing: character design, maybe a character
pull
design.
Or like, are you talking like to pull or to chase after? Or
anything
that the set just would actually include?
Yeah, both.
I'll go first. It's easy. I'm probably told both of you a dozen times already. I want the Batman Adventures to be a insert set like the one we saw for Spider-Man Metal for the Spider-Man animated series. I want one of those inserts for Batman animated in this set. Hopefully,
Nice.
That's
I think that's fire. I would love a set based on the Upper Deck. If you watch this ever, we would love a set with the title cards from the Batman episodes. Bro, come on, man.
I mean, I'll take that over a character card.
Yeah. For Batman Metal, you know, I saw Cryptozoic on their last set. They were able to get on-card autos from the creators. Let's get some on-card autos for people.
Yeah, like Jim Lee, like nothing crazy.
I mean,
it's not that expensive to mail cards out to somebody and have them sign them and send them back to you.
Yeah, can we get like Bruce Timm? Like, I'm not asking for much.
Can we get a handful of Jim Lee sketch cards, like Cryptozoic guy?
Can we get some Bruce Timm sketch cards? Like,
yeah, what are we doing?
Mignola? I think Mignola's down to do some sketches.
Oh man, I mean, I haven't seen Mignola in a con in forever. What about you, Nathan? What are you?
I would love. I only got 2 boxes, so we'll have to wait and see what EPAC comes out with and what some of the hobby shops I talk to have product at once it releases.
Yeah.
But if I was gonna pick a card to pull, I would love to pull the Platinum Portrait Batman. I think that would be amazing. Now I don't even know if there's going to be a Platinum Portrait Batman. I'm assuming because we got a checklist.
It's Platinum Portraits, so how are you not gonna have?
We've seen weirder things from this company.
No way. They're gonna treat him like Spider-Man. But you're ready to have Batman in every set.
Batman, you're saying I'm going to get sick of him.
That's something.
But yeah, that's the card that I would love to pull. What I'm hoping from this set is that something happens within the set as I'm opening the product and I'm looking at these characters. Okay. I find something similar to like I did with Domino, to where I find a character that just like, that's the one, and then go and start that rabbit hole of pursuing that character.
That's awesome.
Manu, I'm looking up the card as I speak. I'm trying to help you out. Let's see what we can.
It says bring McKaylee back.
Black Canary, Nathan.
Black Canary?
Yes. You're welcome.
See, we had talked about this before, and like Huntress would be a possibility.
Yes.
But you know me, I'm not a fan of like the whole face
Black Canary
stuff.
Black Canary might be for you.
Manu, this is it.
Fire.
You want the link? I'll send you the link.
Fire.
I'm gonna send you the link. But yeah,
that's a little bit below Manu's price range, isn't it?
Well, that's just the base, you know.
That's it. Oh yeah, you got to get.
Manu will find a 5x7 version. I'm sure of that, and you know, we gotta get Manu his cards.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. Will says bring McKaylee back.
Batman
Jambalaya in the shape of a bat wing.
That would have been cool.
Would it be a jambalaya though?
You know what they should have did? They should have just put the Batman symbol on the jambalaya and made them horizontal.
There you go. It's sent.
But I'm with Will. Let's bring McKaylee back. Where is he? He's been a recluse for like way too long. We need McKaylee sketch cards again.
Yeah, would have been
awesome. To collect Jinx Shane, opposite powers of Domino.
Okay.
What's the opposite powers of probability manipulation? Anti-probability manipulation? Would that still be manipulating the probability of stuff?
I'm sure it's lost me a while ago, but okay. Sure. Dr. Fate and Blue PMG. Okay, I like that. We'll see. I'm sure when the first PMG's images pop up, they'll be all over social media.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once we start seeing sales of those two, that's when we'll really start to see if there's going to be extra added attention from people that don't care.
Oh well,
it's gonna be interesting to see the whatnot evolution of the set too. I feel like sets tend to. I feel like just the hobbies evolved with whatnot, and it's a very different place than when I came in back in 2020.
100%.
We're already starting to see a drop in the whatnot stuff, though, as far as like the overall number of breaks that are out there for products, because it is harder for people to get product consistently now that Upper Deck is no longer producing it.
Yeah,
and with the way that Topps does their releases, it's a lot harder to acquire that product.
Yeah. I wonder how big of a role David Adams and Steel City will play. I know a lot of whatnotters that get their product from there. It'd be interesting if maybe those guys start sponsoring specific breakers, and then they are able to get product. But for all your Batman metal breaks, check out Pop Culture Cards.
Shameless plug. Shout out to Shane.
Yeah, shameless plug. Yeah.
Shout out Shane. Shout out to Emily.
Shout out to Emily. For real, it's her show now.
They're doing a great job. Shout out to I Want More Cards and Comics, right? Did I say it right?
Yeah, Keith Boyle.
Keith Boyle. Yeah,
killing it.
Stuff.
He's killing it.
Yeah, he usually breaks a case of stuff ahead of time so he can build out a set. So that way when you're going into his whatnot stuff, you can see every single card before you even bid on the spot.
Oh, he does. Like he goes out his way to have everything set up and it's top notch. I think Royal 8 is another one that does it that way too. You have a picture of the card.
One that broke DC Annual. That's how I saw DC Annual for the first Royal 8 breaks. So
Royal 8 breaks, and then what was Cult of Wax? Give the man a follow. He is super dope. I pulled the Iron Man from his Avengers Metal case break, and he's super informative. He was showing people like last sales of cards, like recent sales. Telling people,
for real.
Hey, you don't have to spend so much on the spot. Look at what the singles are going for, things like that. So he was his breaks are super dope.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think that wraps it up for this episode. Again, our breaking news version. We did not anticipate doing one this week, but good timing. Next time, it will likely be what we do Wednesdays. We decided on. So, and we'll definitely post with time so people know. But
absolutely.
Thanks for everyone tuning in. Thank you, Tim, to being our special guest.
Always a pleasure for hanging out, man. Don't
Make
forget in the link below.
Follow at @Tim Cologne for future developments. Or I forgot how you phrased it, but
Yeah. Just that'll work.
Just stay on top of that. And also follow him on Off-White Tim.
Yeah. Just because.
In
the description below, we got the link to the Facebook group and to the Discord group as well. You guys are welcome to join that. If any of the links aren't working, just message either Jesus or myself, and we'll get you a current link to get you in.
I know last time we closed it out, Nathan, you have anything else to close it out this week?
I got nothing.
Tim, do you have anything you want to close it out with?
Stay safe in the streets of Gotham. I don't know.
There you go.
And for the elderly, keep your purses tight. No,
100%.
Yeah.
Take care of the elderly.
Riddles.
Take care of the elderly.
Later.
Peace.
See you guys.